A heavy silence had fallen over Arabia. The peninsula was finally united under one banner. But beyond its borders, two colossal empires watched with a mixture of rage and fear. To the east lay the Sassanid Persian Empire, ancient and proud. To the west, the mighty Roman Empire, a titan of the known world. Both empires, for all their differences, agreed on one thing: this new Muslim army, this upstart force from the desert, would be crushed. They had wealth, they had numbers, and they had centuries of military tradition. But what they didn't have, and what they couldn't possibly comprehend, was that they were about to face Saifullah, the sword of Allah. The first challenge came from the Persians. Their empire was a bastion of power, known for its disciplined armies and ruthless generals. They looked at the approaching Muslims and laughed. Poorly equipped, fewer in number, completely inexperienced in the grand scale of imperial warfare. To show their absolute confidence and unbreakable resolve, they sent one of their strongest commanders to a place that would become known as the Battle of Chains. In a display of supreme arrogance, the Persian soldiers were literally chained together, a declaration that they would rather die than retreat a single step. But where the Persians saw unbreakable strength, Khalid ibn al-Walid saw a fatal weakness. He wasn't intimidated by their numbers or their reputation. He saw the chains not as a symbol of courage, but as a threat. With swift, precise, and devastating attacks, Khalid's cavalry slammed into the Persian lines. What was meant to be a wall of steel became a tangled mess of chaos. The chains that were supposed to prevent retreat now prevented movement, turning orderly ranks into a panicked, helpless mob. Discipline shattered. Panic spread like wildfire. The once mighty Persian army was utterly destroyed. The impossible had just happened, and it was only the beginning. The victory at the Battle of Chains was followed by a series of stunning triumphs. The Battle of Mazar, the Battle of Walaja, the Battle of Ullais, which earned its grim name, the River of Blood. Each time, the Persians sent larger armies, stronger commanders, and greater confidence. And each time, they fell. Khalid ibn al-Walid was a military genius, unlike any they had ever encountered. He employed tactics that left them bewildered, like his famous double-flank maneuvers that could encircle and annihilate a much larger force. His lightning-fast cavalry strikes appeared from nowhere, sowing terror and confusion. He was a master of psychological warfare, turning his enemies' strengths into weaknesses. Soon, the name Khalid ibn al-Walid was no longer spoken with arrogance in the Persian courts, but whispered in fear. With Persia reeling, Khalid did something that would cement his legend. He needed to reinforce the Muslim armies fighting the Romans in Syria, but the conventional routes would take too long. So he chose a path no army had ever dared to travel, a 5-day march directly through the unforgiving, waterless Syrian desert. A route considered impassable, a suicidal gamble. There were no maps, no wells, and no mercy from the blistering sun. His soldiers had to drink the water stored in the stomachs of their camels to survive. It was an act of sheer audacity. Yet, against all odds, they emerged from the desert, appearing directly behind the enemy lines in Syria. When news reached the Roman commanders, they were stunned. They checked their maps, their intelligence, their scouts. It was impossible. How did he come from there? How could an army simply materialize out of the empty desert? To the hardened, pragmatic Roman generals, there was only one explanation that made any sense. This was not just human strategy. This had to be divine intervention. Shaken but determined, the Roman Empire decided to end this threat once and for all. They gathered one of the largest armies the world had ever seen, a monumental force drawn from every corner of their vast empire. Their goal was simple and absolute: to crush the Muslim forces and extinguish the flame of Islam forever. Hundreds of thousands of the world's best soldiers, clad in iron and steel, marched towards a valley in Syria called Yarmouk. Against this overwhelming tide stood a much smaller Muslim army, exhausted from constant fighting, and led by one commander, Khalid ibn al-Walid. Could one man, even one as brilliant as Khalid, truly break the pride of Rome? Could he defeat an army that outnumbered his own so dramatically? Could this single battle change the course of world history forever? The Battle of Yarmouk was coming, the clash that would shatter an empire and seal Khalid's legacy as one of the greatest military commanders in history was about to begin. Join us in part 5 to witness this epic confrontation. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter.